Hold on. You see that, ladies and gentlemen? This is a brief tutorial as to how not to segue. Thank you very much for your demonstration, Mike.
You are welcome.
So do this short and to get the screen off of him. The question on everyone's mind this week, it seems, I've been having a lot of discussions with a lot of my friends. They're saying that DC characters are physically stronger than Marvel characters. And as you can tell, this breaks down into the age-old question, is DC better than Marvel? To which I personally say yes. But do I say that Marvel characters are stronger? Yes. DC characters are nowhere near as physically strong as Marvel characters. And I'm sure all of our listeners, you included, will agree.
And I think we should look at two separate questions too. The whole idea of which ones are physically stronger, but aside from that, which does that make one or the other better? Does that make Marvel characters better because they're maybe not stronger, or if they are stronger, does that make them better than the DC characters? And so should people read whatever? Because I know that starts a lot of flame wars, but I think that we can actually intelligently discuss that, and I want to prove that point.
Not that you could.
I do want to preface my opinion with this, that while I do think that DC heroes are physically stronger, I do think that Marvel would win in a fight because of the fact that the DC heroes will always try and find another way than to kill. Whereas Marvel heroes, on the other hand, most of them are willing to kill when it comes down to it. There are some that aren't, but more so than DC.
I would say that. Now,
so I think that in a fight, Marvel would win simply because they'll end up killing them. Maybe slowly, but they still will.
But the question is, does that mean that they're necessarily stronger?
No, that's what I'm saying. I want to that's what I'm prefacing that with. That while I do think DC is stronger, Marvel would win.
Just to clarify, we're not adding super strength into the mix because obviously, Superman's gonna lift more than Captain America.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We're just saying, say Superman got blasted with a red sun ray, and Captain America got the super soldier serum knocked out of him. Just who would win? Pretty much, who's stronger, Batman or Black Widow? That kind of thing. Who would win in a fight? And I would personally say Marvel characters would win in a fight against most DC characters. The odd exception being Batman, just because they're more well trained. You have Superman, who he could blow on you and he could send you flying into a different galaxy.
Well, Superman was never trained by anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take that away from him. He's just a brawler.
Right.
Whereas Captain America has trained everyone and their mama how to fight.
Right.
Even Iron Man without his outfit could whoop Superman.
Yeah, Superman without his powers, imagine him going up against somebody like Daredevil.
Precisely.
It'd pretty much be game over. But with Batman, I think he's the weirdest one out of all of the DC characters because he doesn't have any physical kind of enhancements. Yet, if you honestly look at how strong he is, just as a human being, it's freakish. It's.
And that moves on to my next point as to why Marvel characters are stronger than DC characters. It's one of the strongest arguments is that their strength is more consistent. There's an easier way to measure Marvel characters because Batman, his strength solely depends on who's around. And in his solo series, he's nowhere near as strong as he is in Justice League. Why? Because they want to power him up to play with these gods. So
right.
Batman by himself could get broken by Bane. Batman with the Justice League could punch Bane through a brick wall.
Yeah.
There's no way to really tell. Whereas, Deadpool will kill anybody at any time with any weapon.
Yeah, including a chimichanga. All he's got to do is eat it and fart and somebody's dead, I'm sure. So.
No matter where you are, Hawkeye's still going to kill you. It's still gonna shoot you with his arrow. It doesn't matter who he's around. So
Yeah, a lot of the Marvel characters are trained. I don't. That's why I think Marvel was so much
You see,
stronger.
the thing is that they may be trained, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're stronger. But the reason that I think that DC is inherently stronger is because of the fact that what they face is much bigger because it's more on a universal scale, whereas Marvel's more on a cosmic scale. It's more just like inside what's happening around them, whereas like it's not so much multiverses and stuff that they have to fight. It's mostly just that one universe. Whereas with DC, they're having all these multiverses converging and stuff all the dang time.
convergence.
They're having to like fight all these things that can just go through different universes, not just one solo universe or two universes.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that they have to be stronger just because of that.
Well, see, and the thing is also like, I know this is going against like what I believe in, which is Marvel characters are stronger. But you think about like the Justice League's fight with Darkseid, and then you think about the Avengers fight with Thanos. Two characters equally like terrifying, but think about how many characters it took to defeat them.
Batman punches Darkseid in the face.
Exactly. Not Wolverine. Wonder Woman stabs him in the eyes. Like, it's 5 characters facing off against this god, and then the Avengers do like 50-something facing against this one guy. So, I mean, like, I can see where you're coming at with that kind of stuff. Like, the threats that they face they're more isolated, first of all, and they're slightly more threatening. Whereas, like, the crime syndicate, where, like, they know all their weaknesses already, but they still somehow have to face them.
Well, and I think, too, what goes along with what you guys are saying is that on DC, the characters are a lot more mythological in nature, so they have to have these, like, massive threats that match or exceed their skill set, their power set, because that otherwise it would be a challenge, it wouldn't be worth reading. Whereas Marvel is your more street level, kind of. Even their supervillains are still kind of street level. So, and you got the DC kind of superpowered gods thing going on, because that's the kind of threats they face are people who have that ability, whereas in Marvel you've got the kind of villains like Doctor Doom and a lot of those guys who require a different kind of power and skill set. So you have
I wouldn't say Doctor Doom simply because of the fact that Doctor Doom is just insanely powerful at this point in time. He's just insane. Like, I don't understand like what they're doing with this guy, because they have essentially made him a god more than once, and I don't understand why. Like, why Doom of all things? But
well, because he wants to make peace. People think he's a bad guy, but he's actually a good person.
History is told by the victors. It all depends on perspective.
Rule over everybody.
But anyway, so yeah, I could see you guys, but I'm gonna argue with you. This is coming from a DC fanboy, so it pains me to say this. The thing is, DC is all like gods and monsters, like these otherworldly threats. Marvel, yes, it's more street level, but think about the variety that they have. Like, I mean, you have DC, Shazam, Superman. The difference is one of them shoots flames out of their eyes, one of them shoots lightning from the sky. So, big whoop. Think about just the movie Avengers. You have Captain America, a super soldier with a shield. You have Thor, a god. You have Iron Man, a genius. And that's leading into my other point. Because they face such street-level characters and close, like, these characters that they face, like, in their own comics, are very close to their own powers, it allows them to become smarter, more strategic whenever they fight. Because, I mean, like, you could easily take out a new god by punching the living hell out of it. But, like, you can't necessarily do that to Doctor Doom, because he's not going to let you that close. You have to think about a way to get inside his defenses. You have to think about the advantages and disadvantages of every move that you make. And that's how I feel like Marvel characters would, first, easily defeat DC characters in a fight, and 2, are stronger.
What also bothers me about DC, they don't have their own Illuminati.
Because none of them are smart.
Exactly. That's why I think Marvel is physically stronger, because they have a lot of smart characters.
But that's
DC is like a lot of talk.
See, y'all are like, I understand what y'all are saying, but at the same time, y'all are still going out of a little bit out of the context of the just strength because you're
Well,
going more into tactics and everything like
think
that.
about like how are you gonna measure who's stronger? You're gonna measure it.
Well,
Well, I mean,
just
you can
because,
measure it
like,
easily by like weights.
just
But
think
like,
about like the level of the things that they fight. Like it's different, but the thing is that that you're right. They are a little bit different, but you still have to think of like just the basics level, not the style, just the level of it.
all right. Okay,
The
you
level of
forced me
threat.
to do this, Josh. You forced me to do this. I did not want to do this, but it came to this point because you decided you want to go against me. So, name the strongest DC character that you could possibly imagine, and I promise you, I have one that's stronger without powers.
Wait, the strongest? Okay, the strongest one that you can possibly imagine in DC. I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
but,
that's
like,
Without
obvious.
powers?
I mean,
Throw in your power. If you want to play powers, you can play powers. Go ahead. Throw in the strongest DC character with powers, and I'll name one character that will whoop your character's ass. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I mean, Superman's the strongest.
Superman. Okay. All right. Kal-El, this last son of Krypton. How would he fare against my good gal, Squirrel Girl?
Done.
Come on, it's a joke character. Let's go.
That's the one you
I
win
mean-
with.
You want to talk about who they face and the different levels that they face. The whole Justice League could face Darkseid. Squirrel Girl could have beat Galactus. So, I mean, I didn't want it to come to this point. The millions of fans watching this right now all think that you look stupid.
Yeah, that was stupid. But she doesn't ever. She never actually fights Galactus.
All right.
Yeah, she just
Thanos
defeats
then.
him by taking him to a planet where there's a lot of life energy, and they're all nuts. Nuts full with life energy.
If you want to take it with the
I thought
Galactus
you-
fight, let's go to Thanos fight. Who else can make the god, pretty much the god of space and time and continuum, like, feel salty that they lost the fight?
Batman.
But can he really? Can he?
He punched Darkseid in the face.
But-
Come on.
Darkseid's acknowledged that and then shot him with an Omega Beam.
True.
Squirrel Girl whooped the shit out of Thanos, and that Thanos swore on his life that it wasn't him.
Okay,
No.
yeah, but that
Well,
doesn't make
killed the
Thanos
clone.
Not
Look,
look-
according
look.
to Watsu, the Watcher.
So what
Exactly.
you're saying is that Thanos is a little big.
No, what I'm saying is that Squirrel Girl ass any day of the week. Squirrel Girl will force feed him nuts.
But what you basically just said is that Thanos is too much of a wimp to admit that he lost.
No, I'm saying that Thanos is this huge godly creature entity,
I
and
mean, that's all
this
I'm getting.
single
Yeah, is that
character- this single character could turn him around and make him seem like a wimp. Yes, the one thing that you gather from this conversation is that Thanos is a wimp, but Squirrel Girl made him a wimp.
Okay.
Mike, do you have anything to say? Because I'll bust it right on you too.
I can't argue with the Squirrel Girl thing, man. That's like mic drop. I don't know how to come back from that. So.
Steven, I know you're on my side, but go ahead, try to defend DC. Go ahead.
I can't defend. I'm on your side.
I know, but just
And
try it. Just try it. I'm not
If
done
you
yet.
want to talk about powers,
Alright, hold
like
on.
in characters with powers, you have Scarlet Witch, you have Franklin Richards who could do reality changing.
You have the Infinity.
You have 5.
And you have so many telepaths. There's Jean Grey, Professor X, Rachel Summers, and
You have Vibe, who could shake things really fast. You have the Flash, who could run really fast. You have Superman, who could lift things kind of fast. Like, no.
Okay.
yeah, but
Yeah,
Professor X is a really strong expert on mind reading.
In
You don't know
Marvel.
how good he's at mind reading. He's been so skilled with it.
Go ahead, bring
He's
any
probably-
characters to the Xavier Imagine and see if Xavier can't make him drop his pants and spin in circles. If you want to throw in powers on this, Marvel will
See,
still beat
I'm
you.
wondering if he would be fast enough to do it to the. I don't think he could be fast enough to be able to do it to the Flash because the Flash can think so fast that he wouldn't be able to catch up.
Well, I mean, not if he has the time gem where he could like slow down time. So
Okay, so now you're just going.
Oh
now
no,
you're
that's just
all this-
cheating.
man, I pull all the cards. I don't care.
Goodness.
As it stands right now, DC can have their little convergences, but take one of those towns and put it in Battle World and see if it lasts. Old
The
Man
only
Logan will
strong
come to whoop
character
their
I can
ass.
see with DC is like Swamp Thing or
I mean,
Constantine.
let's just play it like
Or
this. Okay, you don't want to put in powers, but you want to put
Satana.
on super individuals. Let's go Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. Who would win? The guy who decides that he wants to fit his bows with or his arrows with boxing gloves, or the guy who's a stone cold Louisiana killer?
Well, wait. Are we talking about the most recent Green Arrow or the original Green Arrow?
Well, I mean, both of them are pussies.
Well,
so.
they could go toe to toe with each other.
I think they would go.
Good.
Okay, hold on. If you're talking about just a straight bow fight,
Straight bow
I
fight.
give it to Green Arrow. If you're talking hand to hand, I give it to Hawkeye.
All right, let's
I
hear your
agree with
reasoning.
that.
Yeah, that's pretty sound, I think.
How?
Well,
Green Arrow's just a better shot, whereas Hawkeye is much better hand to hand.
I mean, I wouldn't really agree with that. Mostly because like there's such thing as skill and talent. Yeah, Green Arrow has a whole lot of skill for archery. He learned it over time. He disciplined himself to train in the field. But
Yeah, that skill
Hawkeye was
totally-
able to shoot a can 6 miles away when he was like 5 years old, dude. Like has an inborn innate talent for this kind of thing. It comes naturally to him. Where Green Arrow has to train and practice and continue.
God, I'm tired of that
practicing.
excuse.
What? What
In
excuse?
comic books, it's always do
Oh.
that.
Okay. I was about to say,
Natural skill like Batman. He's naturally skilled.
Exactly. I don't agree with that one.
all right, let's say how about I was gonna say the Atom, but never mind. He doesn't really count.
Adam.
How about
we could-
Cyborg versus Iron Man?
I think that would actually be a pretty cool fight.
That
would
would
be
be
a
a
good
cool
fight.
fight.
You want white noise blasters or compulsion blasts? Which one wins? I can go into the in-depth science about it, but I don't
That'll
know
be
it,
difficult
so-
because Iron Man's very smart.
Okay. Well,
Tony's talking
yeah, pretty much, I
EMP.
feel like it's pretty much the same way. Like, I feel like with most of these characters that are really similar, the fights would end up pretty much the same. Like, they each have like a better talent. As in, like, I feel like if Cyborg can grab onto Iron Man, which I don't think he would ever be able to, but if he could,
Unless you admit it.
yeah, if he could,
Oh,
then he
crap,
would.
Josh just lost.
He would be able to plug in and just hack over systems. But
Listen,
Iron Man
listen to me.
totally too fast.
Cyborg will arrive on the scene with his dark side, weird ass armor. Tony Stark will just come. We're talking about Superior Iron Man, the cold blood killer. He'll just come, EMP his heart.
Oh yeah.
Boom! Cyborg's dead. Next.
Oh yeah. I definitely.
Mike, you're supposed to debate. What's wrong? What's going
Mike
on?
is just sitting there in awe because he's like, "Dang, I want to debate against Alex, but I don't want to get whooped on my channel."
I know. I'm just like right now, I feel like it's just me and Alex like, doing this whole little debate. Come on, guys.
Come on, Mike.
I'm just
Well,
listening.
I'm already
man.
on Alex side, which is
Steven
weird.
chose right. You can't be mad at him for not saying anything. But Mike, come on, your man's getting eaten alive. Throw yourself in there.
I think that's doing pretty good, honestly.
I don't know. You see, like I think that I think I agree with the whole deal right there with the superior superior Iron Man, because, like you said, the dude has like no morals whatsoever. So there's
Oh
like,
yeah, Superior Iron Man is so cruel. I don't like him.
Yeah.
like he just come in and it's
Wait.
over, like you said. As far as like overall, I still, I don't know, man. I still lean more towards DC having the upper hand in a lot of cases,
Why is
but.
that? All right, let's take away all the characters. Let's just take away the characters. Let's put the universes against each other. How about that? We're talking about multiverses. We're talking about different realms. We're talking about everything. Now,
Talking about
A good-
Beyonders against Beyonders.
there you go. We're talking about Watchers versus whatever the hell DC has. Okay, a good way to compare this is another. To put it in like another character fight, Constantine versus Doctor Strange. Who would win? The magic realms in these two universes are completely different, but which one is stronger?
I think Doctor Strange on that one.
Alec, I think your dog has an opinion because it keeps barking.
That's not my dog.
No, that's me. That's yard.
That dog knows comics. All right.
Right?
I'm gonna go coach my brother.
I'm just
He's
joking.
gonna go think of a comeback. Mike,
I think
defend Marvel.
Doctor Strange has the upper hand because, like, it's not just about knowing a bunch of spells. Like, like, oh, well, I have to have this artifact and know this or that. Like, he has those artifacts and things, but, I mean, he's a master. He's been taught, and it's, like, deeply ingrained in him. It's, like, part of who he is. I kind of feel like Constantine is just, like a guy from, like, he would fit in well with the Supernatural crew.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
he just...
Doctor Strange and Constantine?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course Doctor Strange would win. I thought you were doing Doctor Strange and Doctor Fate.
I'll do that too.
Oh yeah, Dr. Fate.
Yeah.
The master of the artifacts. I mean, I still feel
I don't know,
like
the dark
Dr. Strange
universe of DC is really powerhouse. People, they don't. I hate that DC doesn't use them this much.
All right, I'm gonna come straight at it. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Zatanna, Constantine, Doctor Fate, Doctor Strange will still whip all their asses at the same time.
What? No.
Yes. First of all, I'll tell you how. Doctor Strange will put a curse on Zatanna where it only allows her to speak backwards. So every time she tries to tell a spell, it will sound out normally.
That's normal.
That's a good one.
Now,
Speak normal.
Now Doctor Strange will also put a hex on Doctor Fate and turn his hat.
Wait, hold on. If everything Zatanna says is backwards, she can just speak normal and cast her spells that way. Because then what she's saying normal would be
put a
backwards.
muzzle on her. Better?
All right, there you go.
I didn't want to go into all this kinkiness, but okay. And now Doctor Fate. Doctor Strange will just turn his helmet into adamantium, and he won't be able to lift it.
But he wouldn't be able to do that to his helmet.
How do you know? Has it happened before?
His helmet's enchanted to protect it from that kind of stuff.
All right,
Don't you think don't you think that like Clarion or whatever those other guys would have done, like tried that by now? The other
Try what? I didn't hear.
Like tried taking off his helmet or something, like doing something to make the helmet change. I'm pretty sure that would have been like one of the first ideas.
All right, then. Okay, let's do this then. Doctor Strange will easily knock out Constantine and Zatanna.
Yes, I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
Doctor Fate by himself. Where if we're talking about the newest Doctor Fate, okay, that's not fair. I'm not even gonna bring that up because I was gonna say like he's just not trained, so
yeah.
Weird. But anyway.
Well, Scarlet Witch really.
Let's put up the multiverses together then, if you guys really want to. Go ahead, pick your favorite DC multiverse. I'll throw it into one that it'll want to go and try back home.
But Marvel doesn't technically have multiverses in the same way that DC does. It has like 2.
All right, different versions then. I mean, okay.
It's had like 3 or 4 universes. Maybe.
Well, those 3 or 4 universes is better than 52 of them.
Yeah. Just saying, you can't like compare those because they've only had those, and then they already ended the other ones.
Also, you're saying that it's not fair for Marvel because Marvel has a disadvantage?
Yes.
I beg to differ.
Multiverses, yes.
Go ahead, throw one multiverse at me, and I'll throw 3 multiverses at me, and I'll tell you how one of the Marvel multiverses can knock out all 3 of them.
Injustice,
okay. There goes one.
Crime Syndicate.
Mm-hmm.
They're both like the regular DC universe.
No, not the current one. The back when Superman was OP, like even more OP when he had like his 50 powers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Silver Age. There you go.
Yeah, one more.
That's 3.
That's only 2. You said Oh,
yeah,
and the OP. Okay.
Yeah, that's
right.
The Silver Age.
2 words, guys. 2 words everyone cowers in front of. Marvel Zombies.
Interesting.
Now, not only are all these characters facing off against Marvel characters, but zombie versions of the Marvel characters. And if they die, they get resurrected and start fighting against their allies.
But they wouldn't die.
How not, though? You're saying that they would kill the Marvel zombies? Because, I mean, I'll throw in Marvel Zombie Squirrel Girl into the mix if you want to.
But I'm talking about, but we have the OP Superman that can just do one breath and freeze everything for like 1,000 miles.
All right, but how about Hulk? How about Marvel Zombies Hulk?
You have
But even regular Hulk, who can actually do?
Going into the debate between Superman versus the Hulk, now we're turning it a little twisted. It's Zombies Hulk versus OP Superman. Who would win? I would say, and I mean, yeah, Superman could blow things away.
All right.
But how about Magneto, the one survivor, the one person that could survive the Marvel Zombies apocalypse? Magneto could destroy him. Think about all that damage that happened in Man of Steel rolled up in one ball and smashed on Superman's head.
See, I don't even like Superman, so I'm defending Superman at this point, and that's not something I ever do. Ever. All right. I still feel like DC Universe is stronger overall, simply because
even though you have no points. Go ahead.
Simply because they face bigger and greater threats.
So I'm sorry, but I could have sworn that I heard little guy named Galactus the World Eater. Who's gonna eat the DC universe? Who's over there threatening Gotham City like that?
Okay. Hello, Brainiac. You have all these people. You have Brainiac destroying the Earth. You have
no, Brainiac, the cyborg alien, destroying. See, that's the sad thing. That's the sad thing. Whenever you have to compare Galactus, the freaking World Eater, to Brainiac, like that's the argument that you have.
Did you not just see what just happened in Convergence?
Thanks for helping me. See, now if Brainiac was teleported to the Marvel Universe, they would have no problem whooping him, sending him back home to wherever the hell he came to.
I disagree completely.
Really? Okay, the Marvel characters can fight off a freaking god that eats Earth for a living. I think they can knock out one Collector. They already have one of those.
Okay, but you see, that's the thing. He eats planets. One single planet. They fought things. They fought anti-monitors. They fought things that destroy universes. Not planets. Not like a couple planets. They've destroyed universes.
All right, but I'm pretty sure that they're kind of defunct right now, but I'm pretty sure the Illuminati could see Brainiac coming from a mile away and think of some plan to disband him, whereas the Justice League was just caught off guard because of their sheer stupidity running around in their own series, not caring about the greater good of what happens to Earth. They just like, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? Oh, where's Barbara Gordon?
I don't like the Illuminati.
Why? Because the Illuminati is smarter than any 20 Justice League members that you can find.
Why? Because of the whole reason that T'Challa and Namor didn't want to do it in the first place. Because
who cares about Namor? We're not talking about Namor.
What about Reed Richards? Anyway. Both Reed Richards in both universes.
How about Hank McCoy?
Figured out how to survive the reboot.
Yeah, I mean,
he's an a-hole in every universe.
Listen, you could bring in Bruce Wayne. You can bring in Ray Palmer. You could bring in Ted Kord.
Okay, I will say, yeah.
Oh yeah, those are smart members.
Okay. But then you can bring in Earth Scientist Supreme, Hank Pym, Ant-Man.
Yes, Marvel is smarter, but
he could do math circles around those guys. He could solve circles around them.
What about Iron Man that could build any weapon to kill anyone?
Anybody? Have you seen? Okay, yeah.
Okay, hold
on. Thank you, Steven. Hold
on.
He had a planet killer, for God's sake. A thing that kills the whole planet.
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. You have Superman versus the Hulk. That's what everyone is always thinking about. They're like, oh man, this would be a good matchup because they're both equally strong. Hello, Iron Man whooped the shit out of the Hulk. I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing for Superman. He invented a new element in Iron Man 2. If you
All right,
guys
hold
remember
on,
that.
hold
He
on.
could easily create kryptonite in the Marvel universe.
Okay,
Easily.
Marvel is definitely smarter. None of us ever said otherwise. I don't. If anyone says otherwise, they clearly do not read the comics. Marvel is definitely smarter. Still feel like DC is stronger, but we need to move on.
Hey, here's the end all of it all, guys, right here. Okay, you could pit every single DC hero against every single Marvel one, but there's one person who could take them all out.
Who's that?
Me.
You?
Because all I got to do is take a pencil and erase them out of existence, man.
I mean, okay, you want to fight against that? Because I'll fight against that with you.
Well,
again.
that only counts if you're an actual comic writer.
No, it's okay, it's okay. I can fight this. I can fight this.
Oh, God.
Has anybody ever heard of a mini? Has anybody ever heard of a miniseries
Deadpool now?
called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
that's
Well,
what you're doing there.
There's
Yeah.
a Wolverine kill the Marvel Universe, and there's a Punisher one too.
Yeah, but what happened in Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe? He literally destroyed the Marvel Universe, and at the end, he came after the creators. So go ahead and try to erase Deadpool. He's
We
just
need
gonna
a
fight
Oh
Squirrel
you.
yeah, I remember that. He did actually go after the creators.
There needs to be a Squirrel Girl kills the Marvel Universe, because that'd be amazing.
That would be.
So
Yeah.
this isn't one yet.
But
There
I
needs-
think we can all agree that DC is funner to read, more fun.
It is more fun to read. I don't know.
I would
That's why I
disagree. I would totally disagree.
I know you
It's
wouldn't
okay,
read the
Mike.
comics.
No one agrees with you either.
I would totally disagree. I actually let's talk about that for a second. Like which one? Let's just talk about which one we prefer and why. We don't necessarily have to defend it against the other person, but just why it is that you personally go that direction. For me, I like Marvel because I grew up more with Marvel characters. Like that's who I was first exposed to. I mean, Superman, yeah, I was like the real first superhero, but as far as like characters I actually latched onto and got into their character, it was Marvel characters that did that. So, you know, Spider-Man and the X-Men, those were my kind of entry points. But me personally, because of the kind of work and the job that I do, I get to see a lot of the dumb stuff that happens in the world. So I don't necessarily want to see dark when I go to a comic book, and DC is definitely darker and grittier, and they do it well. I mean, it's like nobody's going to argue with that. When Marvel tries to go dark and gritty, most of the time it just doesn't feel right to me. Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate the lightheartedness, and that's kind of just what I gravitate toward too. So for me, that's what makes it better. But I mean, I can obviously acknowledge that Marvel is a more grounded universe. It's more realistic, whereas DC is like your modern kind of mythology. I mean, these characters are way larger than life, and you know they kind of have that aura about them. So it's I don't know. It's like really to compare the two and say one is better is like comparing apples and oranges because they're very very different.
Yeah, very different.
You can't even like lump them in that way. But me personally, I prefer Marvel just because of that, and because it just gives me a reprieve from all the stuff that I see on a normal daily basis. But I still like DC. I still like to get into their books, just not as much as what I get into Marvel.
So yeah, that's the funny thing. The same reason why you like Marvel, I love DC, because like whenever the thing that I've always thought, and I'm sure I'm aware of like some creator acknowledging this too, is that Marvel is DC is 100% fantasy, whereas Marvel is like what would happen if real world people were to get superpowers. And that's my thing whenever I start reading a comic book. I don't want to think about the real world. I want to be immersed in its whole totally fantasy world. So like I would rather read like these crazy stories of like gods and monsters fighting off of each other than I'm not going to say X-Men because I love X-Men, but like a civil war between activists and anti-activists and pro-activists. Like, Marvel does a really good job at drawing real-world parallels. Like, if you want to go into the X-Men, Magneto and Xavier, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King.
Right. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
necessarily
absolutely.
want to see these prejudices whenever I'm reading comic books. I just want to see people kick the crap out of each other. And if a good story comes along the way, then a good story comes along the way.
The way I see it is DC has better stories and ongoings, whereas Marvel has better wars and events, like crossover wise and everything
That's
like
because all
that.
they have is events and wars and crossovers.
Yeah, like Marvel does, I feel like, does those better, but DC just like overall just the regular stories like that aren't all that kind of crap
Mhm.
are better and more like a lot more fun to read simply because they aren't, I don't know, they, like you said, they're a lot more fantasy wise and things don't always have to be explained
Yeah.
really. Like they're like, oh yeah, this happens because they can do it. Whereas
See,
in
but
like Marvel, it's like, oh yeah, this happened because they have this in their blood and they have this in their brain, and
yeah.
those two combining means that they can do this.
hmm Well, like
Yeah.
the thing about these or the Marvel that I could really appreciate, and this is what got me into comics in the first place, is that they do continuity way better than DC does. Like
Yeah.
in every field too. It's not just the movies, it's not just the comics, but TV shows. Like the animated shows back in the day. You have Spider-Man crossing over with the '90s X-Men, and then you have the Fantastic Four in there, and then you have the Silver Surfer in there, and then you have Thor in there. Like it's easy for new people to pick up, and the movies have definitely introduced continuity to like the mainstream audiences, because like you can watch a Thor movie and have fun with it, but like if you watch Thor and say Captain America and Iron Man and especially the Avengers, then you have a lot more fun with it. It goes that extra mile. Same thing happens in the comic books. Like if you really love one character and you're reading another series and that character pops up in that series, you're just like, oh my god, he made it in. But DC doesn't really do that. They stay contained in themselves.
Not necessarily. I disagree.
How so? I mean, DC has the team up books. Marvel, anybody
Yeah.
could pop up in any book. You could
But
have
they still cross over.
they do crossover. I'm not saying that they don't. They just cross over a lot less frequently. Like you could have Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, protecting her city, and then you can see Iron Man flying over. Just a little cameo, sure. You don't see that kind of stuff happening in like the Flash. You don't see Batman driving through.
You
And
have like you had Chemicon like randomly running into Wolverine pretty much. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
With
They're the Marvel universe is definitely a lot more interconnected as far as like just like they seem to be all existing around. Well, most of the Marvel universe takes place in New York too.
they're all in the same area.
Yeah, they're all in the same city.
they're all
So
New York, New York, New York, New York, New York.
yep. So I mean, it's easy. I think it's a little easier to do that. Whereas DC kind of spreads out a little bit. You know, you got Coast City, and then you got Gotham and Metropolis, and none of these places are like
And
right next to each other and
Seattle.
stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it's I don't know, like, and again, coming back to the whole deal of fantasy, it's I like again, kind of like because of my station in life, I like to see a hero who was a normal person who's put into these kind of parallel situations and has the power to do something, because oftentimes I personally feel like I don't have enough power to change anything in a positive way. And so for me, seeing that to me is just kind of what I gravitate toward. But I mean, still, dude, I love Batman. I mean, Batman is still one of my all-time favorite characters, and Superman used to be, but I just ain't really feeling him too much in the last couple of years. Like, it's just, I don't know, man, just can't get into him like I used to. He just seems so overpowered. Like, it's
they're
like,
definitely changing that.
Yeah,
I
they're
know.
changing it. That's what I'm saying. People should get into Superman right now.
This is the best time for Superman, that's for sure.
They are changing him.
This is probably the best
I
character
definitely-
arc of Superman since like the death of Superman.
Oh, and I disagree with people thinking that Marvel is realism and DC's fantasy. I think the other way around.
How? There's no way.
Because even you can even see in the movie themes where they're trying to be
The
realistic.
Dark Knight doesn't count. The Dark Knight does not count.
Superman is even trying. Man of Steel is supposed to be realistic, so their theme has always been reality. While Marvel's always been fantasy. I see it the opposite because Marvel has a lot of cosmic
Well-
powered heroes, and that makes it fantasy.
Okay, well, you see, the thing is that, like, we're talking about the story-wise. You're talking about, like, the actual characters. Character-wise, yes, you're definitely right. They're definitely more cosmic and crazy. But story-wise,
know.
they're
I
a
can't-
lot. I feel like they're a lot more closed.
I still can't see even with characters because I mean, like, whenever I think Marvel, I think Ant-Man, Iron Man, Captain America. You have a super soldier, you have a scientist, you have a scientist. Whenever I think DC, I think Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman. You have an Amazon warrior, a Kryptonian alien, and an Atlantean. Like, those are more fantasy to me. Like,
Well,
yeah,
here's-
in like the other media, they're more realistic. But like,
But you notice they all have strength powers. They don't have magical powers.
Well,
Shazam?
here's
Sorry.
the thing that I think is interesting to note too. DC is always about, for the most part, for the big characters like Superman and whatnot, are godlike characters struggling to be human, whereas over at Marvel, it's humans who are striving to be godlike.
that's
and
so
they-
true.
That's a good
Frickin-
point. So.
They freaking fail so bad along the way. And the other guys fail the other way a lot. So it's like their struggles are mirrored, but in different directions. So
Yeah,
that's
that's really true because I mean you have like Superman struggling with not being Clark Kent right now, whereas you have like Squirrel Girl or Kamala Khan both loving and like idolizing superheroes and just wanting to be one really bad. And like yeah, I can see that a lot. And I mean you can make that argument with Spider-Man in the movies, but like generally DC characters, you've heard this line before, like I didn't choose these powers. Or they're a gift or they're a curse. Like that's what you hear in DC. In Marvel, you're just like, holy shit, this is awesome. Look what I can do.
Yeah,
Look
true.
at Steve Rogers. He was a bony little guy, and then he got implants of the superhero soldier, and now he's just like tearing doors off of cars and running at the speed of sound. Or whatever. He doesn't do that, but
I was like, what?
When the hell did he develop this power? I was.
ah man.
I didn't have my opinion about what I think is better, Marvel or DC.
Well, I think it's best not to have an opinion because
I
I
just-
just remain open to both.
I just prefer DC because I grew up with DC, but I don't like to say what's better. I don't like to use the word better because to me there is no better.
Yeah.
There's no Marvel and DC is not better than each other.
Listen,
Just-
everybody. Comics
I
is
just
wrong.
prefer DC because I grew up on it. That's all. It's a
Yeah, I
biased
get it.
opinion.
Well, that's the funny
Not
part.
fair.